Hello everyone and welcome to Season 4, Episode 5 of Sportsballin. I'm Dylan Simmons, joined alongside the main men, Jace Standrich and TJ Warner. Let's not get delayed like the Mandalorian by getting this show on the road. In my humble opinion, we just witnessed one of the greatest weeks of college football in recent memory. Of the countless awesome games, Washington dismantled USC, Alabama took away LSU's beat Bama burger, and Bedlam ended with the Pokes of Stillwater riding off into the sunset. TJ, in the Washington-USC game, what separated the Huskies from the Trojans?
Yeah, Dylan, I don't think this was very hard to tell who really stood out in this game.
Yep.
It was obviously Dylan Johnson, Washington running back.
Beast.
Had 26 carries for 256 yards and 4 touchdowns. And if you look back at the Oregon game, too, he had a lot of rushing yards in that game, too, with touchdowns as well. So in big games, this Washington running attack and rushing attack, the offensive line really blocks downfield. Everyone's really worried about the pass. Michael Penix Jr. through the air with those great receivers on the outside. They're really threatened with the pass. But the running game for Washington, that's a reason that they've been propelled to a top-tier team this year, an elite team, a playoff contending team.
Yep.
It's because this rushing attack is now 1-2 punch with this passing attack as well.
Absolutely. I mean, Washington dropped 28 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
That is a crazy number. They were on pace to score 100 total.
Good gosh.
These teams.
Oh my gosh.
The defense wasn't there for either team, but
No.
I mean, Michael Penix, he went crazy. He had 256 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, Heisman favorite now because of this game.
Yep.
Caleb Williams, he was all right. Had some really good plays in there. Looked like a stud, but I mean, I still think he's going to be a bust. But he had a good game in there. He had a good game in there.
Good game, but he's a bust.
There you go with the Caleb Williams hate again. Okay, listen, I think this is all about USC's defense not being able to keep up with Washington. And I like Washington. I like Michael Penix. I like Dylan
their
Johnson.
defensive coordinator just got fired, too.
Yeah,
USC.
exactly. Alex Grinch. The guy, here's what he is. Alex Grinch is the Grinch who stole defense. That's what he is, because he stole USC's defense, and it's not coming back, apparently. They gave up 52 points, and all due respect to Dylan Johnson, 256 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. But before this game, if I'm not mistaken, he only had 2 100-yard rushing games all season. That cannot happen. That is inexcusable. You've got to find a way to fix this, and they're going to have to do it in a hurry. Okay, so the next game, guys, that we got after this one is going to be Alabama-LSU.
Yeah, and this one, the thing that really surprised me is the offensive play calls by Alabama. Like, this whole year, they wanted Jalen Milroe to be a pocket passer, sit back in the pocket and just air it out to those receivers. This time, they really let him play loose. If he didn't have anything downfield, they let him scramble and use his legs. They had some design quarterback runs as well. That is where he's at his best. Jalen Milroe is not the typical pocket passer. He's a dual threat. He's a Lamar Jackson type of quarterback. Not the same caliber as Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying that by any means. But he is an athlete. He's got elite speed, too. Let him use his legs. Let him get out in open space where he can make things happen. And you saw this against LSU. That's the reason they got the win that day.
Yes.
I don't think if Jaden Daniels stays in the game, LSU wins the ball game. I think Jalen Milroe does a good job there.
Absolutely. When you're talking about the rushing game, I mean, Jaden Daniels also had 163 rushing yards on the ground. That's crazy for a quarterback with also having 200 passing yards in the air. 2 touchdowns. He had an interception. That interception is now hurt. Hope LSU can bounce back for this.
Yeah, I'm going to make this quick. What I'll say is, Jalen Milroe, incredible player. He almost struck me at the Middle Tennessee versus Alabama game earlier this season. But, hey, no hard feelings. Incredible player. He got the job done, 4 rushing touchdowns. And, Alabama, unfortunately, is looking like that team. And lastly, guys, the final bedlam, Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon is a dude for Oklahoma State. He's now officially in the Heisman race as well. He's like a top 10 betting favorite.
Yep.
So watch out for this guy going on forward. But Mike Gundy gets the job done, and Dylan Gabriel just looked very poor in this game. I was not pleased at all with his performance.
No.
So
You guys know how I feel about Oklahoma now.
Yep.
They just can't execute in big games, except the Texas game. They've just gone downhill. Not excited for Oklahoma.
I think Texas was their Super Bowl, to be honest.
Yeah.
They thought Texas was their Super Bowl, and they've just kind of been coasting on that ever since. They've looked like the 2022 Sooners since that game, and they were flat in this game. But Ollie Gordon, legit. 137 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Remember, guys, this Oklahoma State team lost to South Alabama 33-7 at home, and look what they've done since then. Mike Gundy, heck of a coach. All right, guys, the Titans' Thursday night trip to the Steel City ended up like Game of Thrones. A great story with a bad ending. Will Levis showed his stuff with 262 passing yards, and the Titans' defense was able to shut down the Steelers' offense. However, it could not prevent a late interception by Pittsburgh to hold on for a 20-16 win. TJ, starting off, what kept the Titans from a win in this game?
I think Matt Canada being on the field calling plays. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Just a little bomb there.
Fire Matt Canada.
But
Still not trained.
I think really it was Deontay Johnson stepping up in big plays for Steelers this game. Kenny Pickett was able to find him, and him being back and actually getting a touchdown catch too. I mean, who knows? Deontay Johnson hasn't had a touchdown catch in some long extended period of times. But I think that and a combination of not giving Derrick Henry the rock in the second half. I mean, in the first half, he looked like he was old prime Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Offensive line was letting him get to the next level too. And the second half, Derrick Henry was not even seen. No one really knew it in the second half. So that just was not. That's not okay. If Derrick Henry, your best player, not touching the ball that many times in the second half.
I think Will Levis looked really good in this game. I think.
Oh boy.
I think Will Levis looked good, and I think the Titans need to build around Will Levis.
Whoa.
I think they need to do a complete rebuild.
This isn't hot takes of the week yet.
It's
Hold
not
on.
hot takes.
Hold
but
on.
Will Levis has looked fine, and even better than fine. And I think that's what the Titans need. The Titans haven't had a super stud quarterback in quite a few years now, but they made the playoffs a few years ago with Derrick Henry. They need to build around Will Levis, completely rebuild, draft O-line, and start from scratch with Will Levis as quarterback.
Listen, okay, the Titans are a solid team, but they are not contenders yet. I'm sorry.
Right.
Will Levis was okay. He was solid. He had 262 yards, 22 for 39. I mean, not terrible, but he did throw the game-losing interception. Let's not forget that.
Ew.
And he's not quite to the level of Trevor Lawrence or even C.J. Stroud. He's just not yet. I think it's too early to judge that, in my opinion. We haven't seen enough of him yet. We got to get a better sample size, but also the Titans defense had a few issues. They let Deontay Johnson score a touchdown. I mean, he hadn't scored a touchdown since the watch was invented, so no offense to the guy. But, Derrick Henry, what concerned me in this game, he wasn't his typical explosive self. 75 yards all night. I think that Tennessee should have traded for him. He can be in all the State Farm commercials he wants, but no insurance can cover up his lack of production recently, okay? I'm sorry. They're going to have to figure this out in a hurry. All right, we'll see how it works. But, hey, some may say that Will Levis is the best-kept secret since the Krabby Patty formula. When we come back, it's no secret how the Grizzlies have been looking recently, and we'll also be talking as well as TJ will be back with his Turn Me Up TJ segment. We'll have all that when we return after the break.
Everyone deserves to have a decent place to live.
Everyone. Todos.
When a future homeowner partners with Habitat for Humanity to build or improve a home, they build a better future for themselves and their families.
For my family.
Para po sa pamilya ko.
Por mi familia.
With a little help, we all have the potential to stand on our own. Through shelter, we empower. Visit Habitat.org to provide help to families like these today.
Sometimes a smile can say more than words could ever express. But what if you couldn't smile? Unfortunately, that's the sad reality for so many children today. But it doesn't have to be this way. Since 1999, Smile Train has been helping children say more than words ever could with their beautiful new smile. To learn more, call or go online now.
I never imagined this would be your first home.
I feel powerless. I can't stop asking why us.
I just want to hug and kiss you and never let go.
This is the hardest thing we've ever faced. I know it's even harder on you.
You are my little fighter. We're here with you.
Welcome back. All right, you sports ballers. This is a story all about how our show is getting turned upside down because TJ Warner is here to deliver the most electrifying 3 minutes in sports television with Turn Me Up with TJ.
All right, guys. So this week for Turn Me Up TJ, if you haven't been here before, it's top 5 plays. Let's go ahead and get it rolling. Number 5 play of the week. We have Donovan McCulley from Indiana goes up and makes an insane one-hand catch against Wisconsin. Indiana goes on to win this game.
West, baby.
Indiana goes on to win this game, and the worst team in the Big Ten East beats a contender in the Big Ten West.
Right.
Wow! Yeah. Congratulations! But great touchdown catch. Turn me up, Donovan McCulley. Turn me up. Turn me up.
Nice.
Number 4 is quite a lofty one. We got Rutgers versus Ohio State. There's a long touchdown pass. Josh Brucker makes the hit. Jordan Hancock intercepts it and returns it 93 yards for a pick 6. Rutgers is down. Rutgers is up 9-7 at this point. Jordan Hancock with a pick 6 to give Ohio State the lead when they needed momentum bad.
Oh, that's a disaster right there.
Wow, turn me up, Jordan Hancock, and that Ohio State defense. Number 3, we're gonna switch up a little different sports right here.
Okay.
We're going to hoops.
Hoops.
Cohen Carter. Oh my gosh! On top of the Vol defender.
Why do you have to do him like? Oh my God!
Cohen Carter, MSU. Dude, Michigan State's gonna be good this year. These freshmen are legit. Cohen Carter can absolutely fly. Had 4 dunks in this game. Saw that one live. Turn me up, Cohen Carter.
All right,
Turn me up. Number 2, we have Trey Harris from Ole Miss. Jackson Dart throws an absolute dart to Trey Harris. Trey Harris comes down. And with an insane one-hand catch on the sideline. Watch the sideline view of this one. This is absolutely amazing. Trey Harris goes up.
And a flag.
And comes down with the ball. Trey Harris, turn me up. Great toe tap, too.
Yeah.
Number 1, we're gonna throw the FCS football. UT Martin versus Tennessee Tech. This is in overtime for the win. UT Martin tips it up to himself.
Oh, my God.
And catches it for the win. This is a walk-off win in overtime. Tennessee Tech already scored 3 in overtime.
Oh, that's legendary.
For the win. UT Martin walk-off touchdown for the win. Great job, UT Martin. Great win for them. But that's the top 5 plays of the week, boys.
Yeah, that's making Tennessee proud right there. The Grizzlies were seemingly lost in the woods for most of this season. However, Sunday night, they found their trail once again versus Portland. Desmond Bane had a standout night with 30 points, as Memphis was able to leave a bigger impact than a meteor with a 112-100 win. Truly, how important was this win for Memphis?
Yeah, they have to get on the board eventually in the win column, and tonight was their night to do that. But this was an overall completely different look from Memphis, and the way they shut down the guard play from the Trailblazers was quite astonishing to me. And Scoot Henderson was not as good as I expected him to be this year, and not starting off to a hot start. So Memphis is a good team to get their win against to start the season, but they got to keep building on this as well.
Right. The Memphis team shot 40% from the three-point in this game and 50% from the field, while also ending the game on a 17-0 run.
Yep.
That is insane. They were down in the 4th quarter, but had 17 straight points to come back and beat this Trailblazers team. That shows a lot of fight in the Grizzlies, and I'm excited, and hopefully they can look this solid for weeks to come.
Yeah, I was impressed by how the Grizzlies were able to fight back in this one, but they're still 1-6. And reminder, guys, they were the number 2 seed in the West last year. What has happened to this team? But I will say, I think the biggest thing is we need to see the other pieces develop. Guys like Marcus Smart. Call him SpongeBob SquarePants on the court because he's lost his identity. No offense to the guy, former Celtic, but I think the Grizzlies, solid win, good for them. We'll see if that continues throughout the rest of the season. Things better change soon for Memphis, or they're going to end up getting cooked like a Longhorn Steakhouse ribeye. When we come back, we will get the grill fired up as we have a fresh batch of hot takes of the week. We will dig in when we return on Sportsballin.
Not on my watch, they say, as they volunteer to serve. Not on my watch, they say, as they leave their families behind to keep the rest of ours safe. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So, not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve. The therapists they need to walk again. The treatment they need to talk again. The lifetime of day-to-day help they need to live full and independent lives. When there's no more government funding, or a nursing home seems like the only option, or everyone says there's no hope for recovery, we won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
Chef Patty here. Why should you include avocados as part of your family's balanced diet? It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Number 1. Avocados fill you up. Avocados contain unsaturated fats, good fats your body needs to help with the absorption of key nutrients.
Me hungry right now.
Number 2.
Avocados are good for you.
Avocados are naturally cholesterol and sodium free, plus they contain nearly 20 vitamins and nutrients.
Me need vitamins and nutrients. And number 3, avocado delicious.
Try avocados in place of ingredients higher in saturated fat. Avocados taste great in sandwiches, salads, and even in baked goods like cookies.
Avocado cookies. This match made in heaven.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical.
As Gus Johnson would say, heat in the kitchen. It's time for our hot takes of the week. TJ, what are you giving the world this week?
So my hot take of the week is that the Houston Texans, yes, you heard this right, the Houston Texans will make the playoffs.
What?
Yeah, and in my opinion, I know, you might think overreaction. C.J. Stroud, though, just threw 470 yards and 5 touchdowns in a game-winning drive against the Buccaneers. Looked absolutely amazing. Had 46 seconds to do it, but did in 40. Wow, what a Ohio State prodigy, by the way. Anyways, but the remaining parts of their schedule, they're at Cincinnati and Jacksonville, and the rest of those games they have on their schedule are very winnable. So they can go at best 7-2, and that I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not saying that. I think the Houston Texans just need to go 9-8 to make the playoffs this year, though. I think a winning record, 9-8, 10-7 can make the seventh wild card spot in the AFC this year, in my opinion.
Ooh.
I think the AFC is going to beat each other up, and I think that can do it for the Houston Texans. I don't think they're going to win the division by any means. I think Jacksonville's got that unlocked. I think Houston Texans can get that 7th spot, and it's not too early for them to get it. Their group of receivers they have, Noah Brown, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, those are legit receivers. Dalton Schultz even, those are legit receivers, and Houston Texans have the pieces to at least make a run for the playoff, but I think they're going to get in this year.
Man.
I think you're discounting the fact that the Bills are still in the wild card. The Bengals are going to be in the wild card. The Jets, if they can somehow come back, are going to be in the wild card. The Texans have to be better than all 3 of those teams to get in, including the Browns and the Steelers. I can't see them being better than those 4.
Well, they beat the Steelers by 24.
I can't see them having a better record than them right now. If the season ended today, they would be three spots out of a playoff spot. I can't see them being better than the Bills and the Bengals and these top 7 teams.
Here's what I'll say, and I'll keep this brief. C.J. Stroud, what he did was impressive. 475 touchdowns, should be applauded. Way to go, C.J. Stroud.
Turn me up.
But turn me up. But it's still early to say that this Texans team's going to make it. Plus, remember, they lost the week before to the Carolina Panthers 15-10. We can't forget that. And remember, he was also 0-2 versus Michigan.
Counting.
All right, Jace, what is your hot take?
All right, stay with me, guys.
He didn't steal signs, though.
I believe we should have a relegation and delegation system in NCAA, in each sport.
A relegation system.
I think there should be 3 tiers of each division in each conference. So let's take the Southeast, for example, right? Okay. They would have 3 tiers. In tier 1 in just football would be Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia. The big names, right? Absolutely. But in tier 2, you would have Middle Tennessee, you would have Jacksonville State, you would have Vanderbilt even, because they're not they're in the SEC, but their team is not that good. So they'd be in tier 2. Tier 1 would be FCS teams like UTC, or we can have ETSU in there, UT Martin, Murray State in that division. And I think the top 2 teams in each of those tiers should move up to the tier 1 or the tier 2. And the bottom 2 teams in each tier should move down. I believe this causes a lot more of just having fun and electrifying.
Having fun?
I mean, they do this in soccer in the Premier League, and it works phenomenal for them. I think that the top 4 teams in the Tier 1 would compete for a national championship. So we can't say UCF won the championship in 2017. No, they would get moved up to Tier 2.
Okay.
I think this should do it in every single sport, so that Vanderbilt baseball would be in Tier 1 in baseball, but in a different tier in football. So it should be based on different sports. I know it's a long shot, but in a perfect world, this is exactly how I would do it.
Go ahead, Dylan.
You want me to go ahead? Okay, so I think this is a fun concept. And you're right, it's used in English soccer, and they have a lot of success with it. However, the implications of this are worrying for a few reasons. One thing that I say that prevents a relegation system is that a lot of teams are going to stay where they are anyway because of the disparity. Like, you're not going to see Alabama, Georgia, they're not going to leave. They're going to be in the same place going forward. Plus,
but in baseball or basketball, they might get moved down. And that's what I love about this, is that they can always get moved down if they're not performing well. So you can't have a Vanderbilt team in the SEC because it is sad what the Vanderbilt and Mississippi State are doing this year.
But the difference is, like,
There's
Ohio
no
State
way.
basketball, for instance, last year was like worse in like bottom tier in the Big Ten.
Yes.
But this year they're predicted to be a top 4 in the Big
Right.
Ten. Like,
And that's when they get moved up, so they can improve it. So they can't.
but
have
they
just a
would be
fluke
down
year.
in Tier 2 and have no chance of going for a national
yeah,
championship this year.
and they'd
though.
just be competing against teams they're going to blow out anyway.
Yeah.
So that kind of disparity is going to be tough to. I mean, imagine, let's just say that Alabama went 4-5 for whatever reason. Are you going to put them in Tier 2 despite the fact they've been a
Tier 1 is
consistent
going to be a
contender?
big 4 and 5 is not going to get them relegated. I mean, come on now.
So what would be the standards for this relegation?
Oh, it's going to be the bottom 2 teams, and there's not going to be a bottom 2 team. They're all going to play each other.
Okay.
They're all going to play
okay.
each other. So imagine Ole Miss. If they okay, let's just put it in a world. Ole Miss doesn't win a game. They'll get relegated to Tier 2, and then whoever's in the Tier 2, like MTSU, if they go undefeated or anything like that, would get moved up. So
Okay,
I think it's a long shot, but I think it would bring a lot more
I think you
excitement
got to be
to the
careful
sport.
too, because we're already changing the sport a lot with the NIL transfer portal and the 12-team college football playoffs. So keep an eye on all that. But for my hot take, Gus Johnson is the best sports broadcaster of the modern era, and I wholeheartedly believe this. And honestly, I hate even calling this a hot take, because I think Gus Johnson should be universally respected and admired when it comes to his sports broadcasting acumen. But I think the only thing that makes this a hot take is that I'm putting him above guys like Jim Nantz, Joe Buck, Joe Davis. What makes Gus so great is he is great at displaying emotion and creating a compelling story for the audience. The mark of a great sports broadcaster is someone who can draw you in like Gus can. I mean, he could be calling ice fishing in Fairbanks, Alaska, and he would probably say something like, "Oh, what a snag! He is going to be eating good tonight." And it's that kind of announcing and that kind of drama that makes him who he is. What I think is underrated, though, is his story ability. He can see if a game is shifting in a certain direction, and he will adapt his broadcasting for that. And you want iconic calls. I mean, you've got barbecue back there, and you got Stokely down the sideline, and you got shake, crossover, step back. I mean, how do you compete with that? This guy is the voice of a sports generation, and I think he needs to be respected.
Oh, I completely agree with you on this one. I think Gus Johnson is by far and away the best sports broadcaster of all time, and I don't think it's really close.
Yes.
Like that, especially when you think of college football. This is Gus Johnson.
This is the guy.
Gus Johnson and Joe Klatt. That's the duo, especially you think of.
Yep.
And Fox, they having those two guys, that puts them so much better than everyone else too. So Gus Johnson's that guy.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and I believe Joel Klatt is right up there with him as his color. And
Oh, yeah.
that is the best duo that I've heard. So I agree with you. And this is definitely is a hot take, but we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I mean,
so
Especially for our generation. I think our
Absolutely.
generation will agree with
Because we grew up with Gus. I mean, we grew up watching him call Big 12 games or Big 10 games, especially you a lot with Ohio State.
Big noon kickoff.
Big noon kickoff, right.
Maserati Mar.
Yeah, Maserati Mar. So we're used to that. And of course, the barbecue back there one was a good one.
Yeah.
But I think that when you think of excitement, when you think of awesome game commentary, you think of Gus Johnson. Because
I also
he
think of the
provides
Charlotte
that.
Hornets.
You think of Eric Collins?
I think of Eric Collins.
Eric, I mean, he's a good one. He's a good one.
Diddly-dee.
Yeah,
Diddly-dee.
the one thing I'll say that I think separates Gus from Eric, and this is no disrespect to Eric, I think that Gus is great at knowing when the moment is right to be excited.
Right.
Eric is good at that, but sometimes I think that you got to understand when the moment is to be enthusiastic. Gus is perfect at that. I hope that I can only be like half the play-by-play broadcaster that he is. And I know he'll never see this, but he's an absolutely fantastic broadcaster, guys. All right, where's Fireman Ed when you need him? Because we brought the fire right there. When we return, the greatest competition in sports media returns because we have to see who gets our picks of the week. Stick around.
Serving the nation's poor and vulnerable regardless of faith, and advocating on their behalf, we are Catholic Charities.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Miss Lee, this is Agent Williams from the tax office. Our records show an unpaid balance on your account. If you don't pay by end of day, you'll be facing jail time. Well, the fastest way to fix this is with a prepaid debit card. Can you go get one now? Yes, and we want to clear this up. If you just buy that prepaid card, put $400 on it, then call me back and read the numbers to me.
The moment they ask for a prepaid card is the moment you know something's wrong. Think before you send money. Learn more at scamawareness.org.
It started with the original care package, and millions more like it. Passed from hand to hand, across land and sea, to help survivors in the aftermath of war. As we grew, we found better ways to help those in need. Ways to make a real difference, not just today, but tomorrow as well. Be the difference in people's lives. Help deliver lasting change at care.org.
Some places have the power to transform us, connect us, move us. This is the power of place, the power of parks and open spaces to improve cities, communities, and ourselves. This is the work of the Trust for Public Land, putting open space within reach of every person in America. Help us create the power of place and healthier, happier communities.
Welcome back to Sportsballin. It's now time for our picks of the week. First up, we've got the Nashville Predators at the Calgary Flames tonight at 8 p.m.
Yeah, last time I went against the Predators, and I picked the Canucks, and the Preds ended up winning. This time I'm going to go against the Predators again. I picked the Flames. I think they're going to get the job done.
All right.
I'm going to disagree. We've been on that. They've been on the roller coaster all season long.
They have.
They're on that roller coaster. They beat the Flames.
They're on the airtime hill right now, in your opinion. I think they're at the ravine or the valley right now. Calgary's going to burn them. That's what's going to happen. Flames win. Calgary gets the victory.
Get burned.
The Memphis Grizzlies versus the Miami Heat Wednesday at 7.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way they stop Jimmy Butler and this Miami Heat big.
Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo. Too much for the Grizzlies. Give me the Heat.
Jimmy Buckets ripped my heart out last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's earned my respect. Miami wins. All right, Titans versus Buccaneers Sunday at noon.
Yeah, the Titans don't win on the road, and they're not going to win this time against my former quarterback, Baker Mayfield. He gets the job done. Tampa Bay wins.
I've been back and forth so many times on this game. The Titans haven't won away, and the Buccaneers are 1-3 at home. This is so tough for me. Will Levis gets it done in Tampa, in Raymond James Stadium.
Wow.
Give me the Titans.
Will Levis fan.
You are really buying into the
Tennessee.
Will Levis hype.
Mayonnaise in my coffee tomorrow morning.
Mayonnaise in your coffee. Okay, that's a bet right there. Baker Mayfield's going to wake up feeling dangerous and win. All right. We've got to stop for today, but we're always ready to listen. We hear you, Tyler from Spartanburg. Remember that you can always catch new episodes of Sportsballin every week right here on Blue Raider Television. For Jace Standrich and TJ Warner, I'm Dylan Simmons saying so long, and remember to always have an electric night.